this video, let's talk about Adobe Premiere's new text-based editing feature and their new AI updates with Firefly. All right, real quick, you're watching Video Brand. Special thanks to our sponsors for making this NAB coverage possible. Massive, Metricool, Adspective, Vestigit, and OpenReel. All right, back to the video. All right, what's up everyone? I'm here with Francis, product manager of Adobe Premiere. And so yeah, I know you got some updates. I really want to talk about AI stuff, but first off, let's talk about some of the Premiere product updates, the text editing. So can you kind of give me an overview of how that works?
Yeah, sure. So first thing I actually want to get out of the way is that we've been really hard at work over the last year to improve the reliability and the speed of the product. So we're very happy to announce that the most recent version is the fastest and most reliable that we've ever shipped, because we hear from customers all the time that that is the most critical part of their workflow. Obviously, adding in things like text-based editing and revolutionary workflows like that is nice, but it's got to be rock solid. We're rock solid, very happy about that. And we've also been just listening to our users and giving them little tweaks and little things that they need to be more productive in their work. So sometimes it's a very simple fix for us to make, but it's going to make a big difference for them. So one example of that would be, we made a small change to the way masking works. I don't know if you've ever done masking in Premiere, but you go to draw a mask and it used to go into this rotate mode, which is really annoying. So we disabled that. And again, it's just a small thing that for us to do, but it's going to make a big difference for our users. So there's dozens of examples of little things like that we've improved. But really the big thing that we're here at the show to talk about this year is text-based editing, which is an entirely new way to edit. Okay, so let me give you a demo of text-based editing. First thing I'm going to do is import some clips, and we can see this new section over here in import mode, automatic transcription. So we can automatically detect up to 17 different languages, and we can separate the speakers. You can choose whether or not you want to do that. And you can also set the project to automatically transcribe all of your imported clips in the background. So I'm going to import these, and let me just open up one of these here. So what's happening here is it is transcribing, and again, this is happening on my computer here. It doesn't need an internet connection. It's pretty quick. It's powered by Adobe Sensei. It should happen in about 10x speed, and it's very accurate, like upper 90s. It of course helps if your content, if your audio is very like a clean recording. So in just a second here.
How does it do with accents or different like dialects? Not dialects, accents.
It does okay, I would say, but definitely if there's a heavy accent, it's going to have a hard time with it. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to label my speakers. So the first person here is the filmmaker who's asking questions. And then the second person, his name is Jason. He's the fellow on camera being interviewed. And so you can see here that we've got the speaker names. And if I just drop the playhead and hit playback, you'll notice that it's playing back in the source monitor and the words are following along. So what I like to do actually to familiarize myself with the content is just play back at like 2x, and it actually helps to see the words. But
with the speaker labels, does it remember, like if you have another clip with the same interviewee?
It does not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. So you do have to label each of your people individually. So here's another clip, and so I'll label these guys as well. And again, it's the filmmaker. Wow, I really botched the spelling on that. Filmmaker.
Keyboard.
Yeah, right. And Michael is his name. And the other people were just like camera assistants that like happened to be picked up. So let's start with Michael here. And the first thing I want is him introducing himself. So I'm going to search for his name, his last name, Bodie. And he tries to introduce himself a couple of times, you can see here, but it's really this one where he finally nails it. So I'm going to just select that text. You'll notice that it drew in and out marks in the source. And what I can do now is insert this into my sequence. And there's a couple ways to do that. I can just hit the insert button right here, which you'll notice the keyboard shortcut is comma. Comma is the default keyboard shortcut for doing an insert edit. So chances are you already know this. So I'm just going to hit insert. and that's going to insert it into my sequence. And so we also want to hear from Michael here. What does your team do? So he's in charge of the video team for the Sundance Film Festival, and so we're going to search for the word team. And him and the filmmaker, you can see, are talking about team, quite a bit. But it's really not until the very end down here where he actually finally kind of answers the question really well. So, our team is responsible for making, so on and so forth. I'm going to select this whole block of text and just insert that in. So then let's go over here to Jason, and we're going to do the same thing with him. We want to get his introduction. And so here we can see I'm Jason, the executive producer. And actually, before I insert this, I'm going to change the label color just so that we can see on the timeline very clearly the different speakers. And so I'm going to hit comma to insert this. And then we also want to hear from Jason, like, what is your role? So it's, typical interview kind of editing. What's your name? What's your role? And so I'm going to get this paragraph here where he's talking about his role, and then comma to insert. So now, once I shift over into the sequence, what we're going to see is that the transcript is going to now inspect my sequence. And so we can do all sorts of timeline editing just from the transcript. So one example is, I actually think that Jason should go first. He's the executive producer. So I'm going to hit Command X for cut. Notice it deleted it from the sequence. And I'm going to place my playhead up at the top of the transcript and hit Command V for paste. And then you can see it rearranged it. So this is really great. And then, of course, we can also go through and delete stuff, right? So, Michael is talking about his role, but he kind of goes into a lot more detail than we need for this piece. So I'm going to select that block of text and hit delete. Notice it did a ripple delete in the timeline. And we can do that down here as well. He talks about creating social media content, and we don't really need everything. So I can just select that and hit delete, and it's going to delete it. There's one last thing. There's always a cherry on top, and that is that when you're finally done with all of your editing, you can create captions. So I can hit just create captions. This is going to use the same transcript, and there we go. We've got captions.
Cool.
So it's a really fantastic new way to edit. I think it's going to accelerate people's workflows. We've heard from our beta community that it's actually accelerated their workflows by 4 to 5 times, and sometimes even a lot more than that.
Yeah. One other quick one. If you need to edit the caption or edit the transcription text, you can just jump in there, change the text.
Yeah, just double click on a word. Most of the time that's for correcting proper nouns, so it spelled my or your name wrong.
Or a product name or something.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. What's the graphics tab on the
graphics
on the
tab?
top? Transcript, captions, graphics.
This, I don't have a demo for this right here, but if you had graphics, actually, let me show you. I can actually promote these captions into graphics.
Oh, turn them into text.
Yeah, we're gonna have to finish up here in a second.
Okay,
so once I turn them into graphics, then they show up here, and you can actually edit the text.
So if you want to do a burn-in caption or something.
Well, what this is really great for is if you're doing lower thirds. So you could imagine that you misspelled someone's name 17 times throughout your project. You can easily do a find and replace in all of your lower thirds. And so that's what this graphics tab is for.
Okay, cool.
We couldn't be more thrilled about how it's going to accelerate the workflows of seasoned professionals, but it's also going to make it easier for newer users to get started, because if you can cut, copy, and paste text, you can edit video in Premiere.
Yeah, it makes building out rough cuts a lot easier when it's able to be text-based editing. With the search, I have a documentary background, and so always when you're trying to find that one line and hours of interview, when you're searching with this, how does it show the results? Are you able to type this phrase and kind of audition like every time it shows up and preview
So
it?
what it shows is it'll highlight every time that word or phrase was spoken throughout your transcript, and then you can just jump next, next, next. You can play back each one.
Okay, cool. And that's added across, you could search like your entire library or your entire media bin?
No, actually not just yet. So you are searching just individual clips right now, but this is a natural evolution that we're going to take the feature to be able to search across like all the clips in your project, but not just yet.
Also, evolution-wise or future-wise, do you see a possibility of this sort of being integrated in the cloud or being able to have some sort of collaboration with, from our personal experience, our workflow, we've been doing stuff where it's like we've had text-based editing, but we'll do it with the client.
Sure.
Have them give their input on the text, and then we take that, send it to Premiere once we have like a rough cut done. Because like they don't have Premiere, they're not going to be able to work with that. So is there some like cloud integration version you see with this direction going?
Well, a couple of things that we're thinking about. So one, you're kind of talking about a paper edit, right? So you could export the transcript as text and give that to your producer, director, whoever, and it'll have the speaker names and the time codes, and they could do the traditional paper edit of like marking that up, print it out with a highlighter and a red pen, you know, and then give that back to you. But we actually think that the workflow is easy enough that you could actually sit your director down with Premiere, and they don't need to be a seasoned editor. If they can just load that up, the transcript up, and find the sound bites they want and hit comma to insert it into the timeline, they could build that rough cut right inside Premiere. And they don't need to know everything about Premiere. They just need to know how to highlight text and hit comma. I think directors can handle it. And so no more paper cuts.
Yeah, keep it all in one spot.
And then the other thing about the cloud is, you know, as you know, we acquired Frame just a little while ago, I think a year and a half ago at this point. And we're definitely thinking about how we can leverage Frame, and especially camera to cloud. You could imagine the possibility of doing cloud-based transcription from camera to cloud. The clip hits Frame, it gets transcribed, and you could look at the transcript. Now, that workflow is a little ways out, and it's not something that we're working on right now, but it is something that we're thinking about and talking about very seriously. So over the next couple of years, you're going to see those sorts of things pop up for sure.
Yeah, it makes sense. We talked to Michael earlier today, and that was one of the ideas of being able to not just have your media there, but being able to index it, search it, use machine learning to like identify objects or search for things, which ties into, I guess, the other updates or rolling out Firefly. So can you kind of give me an overview? I know there were some updates. This was talked about it like a month or two ago, but then also yesterday some updates were released or announcements.
So AI technology is moving really fast, and even Firefly is like adding new stuff like day by day, week by week. But Firefly it's sort of an experiment for Adobe, I would say. And Adobe is taking the stance with generative AI that we want to start from the very beginning with a very ethical implementation, which means that we're not infringing on anyone's intellectual property. All the training data that was used to train the AI models is either fair use or the people got paid. So it's good to use for corporate work. Like, you know, you don't have to worry about including it in a commercial product and worrying that at some point some artist is going to come and say, hey, you stole my style, because we're making sure that the training data is ethically sourced. And that really is Adobe's viewpoint on this, is also when we say creativity for all, we don't want to also work like make it so that creatives are out of a job, right? So we want to make sure that we're automating mundane tasks so that you can have more time to be creative. We're not trying to replace creative tasks. Now, with Gen AI, that does start to a little bit blur that line, which is why we're approaching it very cautiously, very seriously, and making sure that the ethics are really nailed down from the very beginning.
And so, I don't know if it was like fully releasing the app or ideas, but it was like being able to analyze the script and then match it with the B-roll that you have to kind of create a cut, or text to video prompts, like, oh, hey, to generate this video background.
Those are all possibilities, and those are all things that we're talking about very seriously internally, but we don't have any announcements to make today.
Okay. Do you feel like I know you're talking about right now, it's sort of like helping the editor. Do you feel like there's like a future 10 years from now where it's like these are like fully editing, you give it clips or you give it something and it's kind of fully creating the edit?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we might get there. I don't know how I feel about that. You know, I was an editor for 10 years before coming to Adobe, and I like editing. I think that a lot of editors like editing, but there's a lot of repetitive, mundane work that could be automated so that all you have to do is go in and really fine-tune it, finesse it, and do the stuff that, at least today, right now, only humans can do, make those creative decisions. So I think that we'll get there, and I have faith that Adobe is going to navigate it in a way so that the creative is always in the driver's seat.
Yeah, it seems more like an accelerator than replace putting editors out of work.
When you think about it from the point of view of like content intelligence, right? Like you spend a lot of time organizing content in your project, cataloging it, logging it, you know, making subclips of like interesting things. Like that's something that AI could totally do. It's essentially non-creative. And those are the sort of things that we're definitely thinking about.
I mean, Michael said something interesting of like that he sees less things actually being filmed, like more stuff being made, but less stuff being filmed, the more stuff being generated. Do you feel like there's going to be like maybe like the editors are become prompt writers that are like generating backgrounds or generating? Is it going to be like kind of like have to unlock a new skill set to be a video editor / prompt writer?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. It's developing so quickly. Like this technology is making so many leaps and bounds of like, you know, accelerating technology like leaps and bounds. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Cool. Well, it's exciting updates, and well, exciting to see what the future holds. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Francis.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks for watching the video. For more of our NAB coverage, be sure to check out the playlist right here and hit the subscribe button for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next episode.